All right. Well, hey, team. It is August 14th, and so happy you made the decision to be on this call with us. We have a special guest, which I announced, and everybody's been pumped for. And it's my good friend, Nancy Strauss. And Nancy is an integrative presidential director with Optavia. We've kind of grown up together in the Optavia world. We've leaned on each other a lot and really developed a great friendship. And Nancy is known for she built her business through community and through hosting events. So that is something we've been talking about as a team that we'd like to expand and grow in that area so that we can touch more lives. So Nancy, I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you for the warm welcome. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. Any friend of Dee's is a friend of mine, and you guys are so lucky to have her. She is such a joy, and we really did grow up together. We both started so early, and we feel like our businesses were parallel the whole way. So it's been neat to have growing pains and learn, and I really appreciate this time together. You know, what's really cool is when I think back of when I started program 11 years ago with Take Shape for Life. I keep thinking back to when I decided to coach, and I was like, but am I equipped? Like, a lot of my hair clients wanted me to coach them, and that's awesome. But at the same time, I was like, but what do I know? I don't know how to copy and paste. I don't know how to do anything on the computer. I didn't know how to load pictures on Facebook. Facebook was pretty new. My kids were like, Mom, they'd teach me copy and paste for the millionth time. And I'm like, how am I going to have my own business? Like, I just didn't know I could. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm really in love with this program. It has completely changed my life. I mean, just 3 weeks earlier, I couldn't fit on a roller coaster. And now I'm down 15 pounds, and the world needs to know this. And I don't know much about the computer, and I don't know much about business, but I know I love this, and I know people need what I have. And so I decided, well, let's go with my strengths. Obviously, tech wasn't my thing, but I sure knew how to have a party, and I sure know how to have fun, and I sure knew people needed this and had no hope, like I felt for so many years. By the way, I'm the client that returned her food after a day and a half because I didn't like the oatmeal. So if that encourages any of you guys, if you have clients like that, hang tight, because 5 months later, they might not fit their butt on a roller coaster, and they might actually decide they do want to do program. They might get ready, and they might end up doing well in the company. So don't give up on those people. Just love them anyway. And you know what? I'm so grateful for my coach for not quitting on me, because she could have gone to any hairdresser when I quit. But so what did I decide to do to grow my business? I just wanted to share it. Back in the day, they called them tasting parties. Do you remember that, Dee? Where we would we would cut the bars into like 8 pieces and give out little tastes of the shakes to people. And obviously through the years, we found out that's not very effective, because you know what? Everybody has different taste buds. It's not really about the fuelings. It's about their why and what they want to accomplish. We're way more than weight loss. And so we grew up as a company too, not just us. We were back in the olden days where we had to walk through blizzards uphill to go to school. And we certainly didn't have this habits of health system that we do now. But so anyway, I decided to start with tastings, and I would just have people over my house, and I would do a presentation, and they would taste the fuelings. And, I did okay. I had maybe 4 people show. But as I had more and more clients, and then they turned into billboards, and then they started to share me with their friends, this thing started to grow. And my health and hope parties decided to evolve. I decided to help them evolve because I felt it was very powerful. So what do these health and hope parties do? First of all, that's a really boring name. Paul Blanchard told me that. He's like, don't call them health and hope parties, like extravaganza or palapalooza or a bash, but party, wah, wah. So there's been times I called them other things, but what did they do? They did build community. We felt strength with each other. We would inspire each other. It was great networking opportunities. Coaches were always born, because when people would bring a guest, that was a perfect opportunity for them to coach their own friend, right? So coaches were always born, clients were inspired, struggling clients started to think, well, what's so special about me that this works for all these people, but not me, right? So it really inspired the struggling clients, and a lot of times they became coaches. And I think it did plant a lot of seeds to newbies and everyone. So I wanted to kind of explain what these look like. They've evolved through the years, like I said. I wanted them to be really duplicatable, so they didn't look hard. I didn't want to be some master chef. I didn't want it to be something that other people thought they couldn't do. If you want to grow a team, you want it to be something that anybody thinks they can do. So all I was responsible for really is I would create an event on Facebook, make an event. I put it on public settings though, because if I do it in the private group, they couldn't share it with their friends. So I did put a public setting for my events, and I would write a description, and I kept it simple and fun. I didn't really do much cooking. I let everybody else do the cooking. All I needed was to provide a clean house, and the silverware and the napkins and the plates. And if I wanted to make some bell pepper nachos or something easy, I would. But I also had drinks, always compliant drinks. I never served wine or anything that could be a stumbling block for people that were on plan. And, sometimes the Mio drops, or sometimes those sparkling ice drinks, I would serve them. That got expensive the bigger my parties got. So I just did a lot of water and coffee towards the later ones. These started to really grow. In my own house that I had back in Pennsylvania when I lived up there, I had my little house packed with 63 people one time. And let me tell you, my floorboards were really glad we lost all that weight, and it got to be, we outgrew my space. So I started to grow them into like the pavilion at a park. During COVID, we did that a lot, at your own risk, wear a mask if you want. But people would come. We've done clothing swaps, and it's potluck. People bring a compliant lean and green meal and a friend. And they were wonderful. I want people to know, even new coaches, they can do it, and it's fun. I did feel like in my house, it was more welcoming with a kitchen in my home. When I went to rent a space or a hotel or even a pavilion, it kind of lost some of its appeal, because there's nothing like being in the heart of a home with a kitchen, and people really get to know each other and feel really comfortable in your space. So I like them. I like them being packed full. And Dr. A warned me, he's like, if you start renting space and you have a lot of space with 50 people, like when a restaurant that's packed all the time expands, all of a sudden it doesn't look like the popular place anymore. It looks like they could use some more clientele. He said there's something about a packed room, that there's an excitement in that room. So don't worry about size, just get together and have fun with it. So I did do that. People would bring a compliant lean and green. And these things grew to like 100, which was really cool. One thing I learned along the way, though, I would do networking. I would go to the local networking group or BNI or whatever, and I saw all these other experts that I could actually cross-pollinate with. Like I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I decided, why not help them come into my space and teach me about financial health? Or they talk to my people about self-defense tips. So I had guest speakers come in, but I'm a little sneaky, because not only did they get to share their expertise and how it married into health, which my people loved, but those people got to hear the stories of all my clients, all of our coaches. So it wasn't just me sharing my networking story for 30 seconds every week. They got to hear a room full of people where their lives were dramatically changed. And so I always made sure when I had a special speaker, first of all, I promote them in the event. And for instance, one of the last ones I did, I had a home organizer. Well, who isn't interested in that? Who doesn't need a little well, some of you might be really organized. I'm not the best at that. But I found that even if people didn't want to come for the Health and Hope party, they were really interested in my guest speaker. And once you get them in the door, the contagious energy is really a beautiful thing. So it helped people invite friends just to hear the speaker. And we really were able to expand our audience a lot that way. So it was really fun. Of course, I highlighted the speaker and I gave them lots of credit, and they could leave cards if they wanted. I didn't really, I mean, I've done Mary Kay and I've done some Pampered Chef stuff before, but I didn't want people to feel like they were going to an MLM party. That's not what this is. I'm not trying to build their business, although they can share about their business and have a conversation later. I didn't want my people feel like they needed money because they were going to be sold at something at my house. But I wanted free value shared, where if they wanted a conversation later with them, awesome. If not, hey, you know, it expanded who came. It made it well-rounded out our session. And most of all, those guest speakers got to hear our stories. So here's some of the topics I've had. Christmas time is awesome. I always go nutso crazy over Christmas. I always have. I go nuts. I am not going to do that for 3 weeks' time. I am going to decorate before Thanksgiving. I'm sorry if that offends people. It's the way I roll. I'm not doing all that for 3 weeks of fun. So, and I clean it like New Year's Eve, like I'm over it. But I do have my house fully decorated for the holidays the weekend before Thanksgiving. And that's usually when I have my holiday party. There's so many holidays that time of year. So we do lots of top tips. That's our topic, top tips on handling the holidays. We can hand out a list, a great list on top tips for holidays. People bring food, do a fun gift exchange, like a white elephant or something like that. Super, super fun. People love that one. I've had a chiropractor come talk about the benefits of chiropractic. Photographers, how many of our clients have not been in pictures in years? There's like no documented proof that these people were ever alive because they've hidden from cameras for so long. All of a sudden, these people want to be in pictures. They want to be in front of Cinderella's castle with their children and not the person taking the picture. So why not have a photographer come and teach them about angles, teach them about lighting, how to look their best. And have somebody like a photographer like pose you, do a demonstration and show you the difference. You know the pictures where people hold the camera down here and all you see is a neck. Like, no. So it's so neat to get an advice from a professional, right? And they can leave their cards. Maybe the coaches might want headshots later. You never know, a professional shot. I have had a Taekwondo leader talk about self-defense. I have had people come in, a makeup artist, and talk about people that feel like jazzing up their look a little bit. That's kind of fun. Although when I did that one, I also made sure I had a piece for men. So I had a trainer talk about beginning exercise with just cans of soup at home and things like that. So be conscious of your audience. You want men to feel welcome too. I don't know about your team, but my team is really stacked female. So I want the men to feel comfortable coming too. How to dress for your new body. Are you apple shaped? Are you pear shaped? Are you kind of straight up and down? Men, they care about how they dress too. A lot of people have been wearing muumuus for a long time. Like maybe you want to dress, you have to buy a new wardrobe. What looks good on you? I used to have a salon owner that was definitely an apple shape, and she would wear these big ruffly things that added volume. And I'm like, it might not be your best look. I felt like I really wanted to put her on. Remember that show, What Not to Wear? I wanted to volunteer her, but I thought she would maybe fire me for that. But that was a really good one, like how to dress your body. Family therapist, we had them talk about our crazy brain. What's going on in there with the angel and the devil constantly fighting? We've done things on stress. You could have a massage therapist talk about the benefits of massage. We made a rice neck wrap one time together. We did like a craft with the essential oils and, and we discussed stress. Crafts, making an ornament for the holidays or something like that with inspirational quotes. What else? Cooking demos. They're always great. How to grill. You could do something like that. Exercise, yoga, home organizer, clothing swaps are amazing. People love it. It's like shopping for free. And they leave with clothes that are goal clothes or clothes that might fit them now. And they leave their big clothes behind, which is a golden opportunity for me to say on Facebook, if anybody needs any size 16 to 26, I have so many clothes for my clients that they donated. If anybody in my Facebook family is interested, Facebook Gold, when we would go around the room and share our stories, you always do that. Go Facebook Live, just expand it to the audiences with a click of a camera. Now look how many people heard inspiration, right? So that's super fun. I always had trifold boards or even poster size pictures of befores and afters, because of course that always grabs people. I always use my 5 pounds of fat. It's a great opportunity for your clients and coaches to take pictures of how many of them they lost. I lost 11 of them. I can't believe I paid $80 for 5 pounds of fat, but I did. And that 5 pounds of fat, it's simulated, has gotten so much use when clients are like, I can't believe I just lost 5 of these. And it only took me. And it's a great way really to expand the reach and getting them used to sharing their story, because that's great accountability for our clients. Also, back to school tips is another good one, like how to pack healthier lunches for our children, how to help picky eaters. Like there's so many ideas for topics that I think when people know they're coming for a topic and not to be sold on your program, they're going to come just because it's relevant to everybody for everything. So what else? You can incentivize if people bring a gift. You can do a raffle. You can give away a book. You can give away wellness credits. You can do so many things. Prizes, trivia games. I made a trivia game out of the Habits of Health. Like, what has the lowest glycemic index? Potatoes, yams, or sweet potatoes, right? That kind of thing. So you can make up your own trivia game. People love that kind of stuff. Let's see. I do explain about all 4 components, and I do start with telling my story. So here's what it looks like. They come. It's hard to keep track of how many people are coming because people cancel and people bring friends, but whatever. They show up at my door. Whoever comes. We eat right away because the food's hot. Okay. I give it about 45 minutes, people to meander, talk to each other, friend each other on Facebook, just warm up and eat their food. Then I call everybody into my living room. I did buy a lot of folding chairs, but you know what? All a write-off, or maybe you can borrow them from a church or a fire hall. But I would just line up chairs and I would introduce myself, thank everybody for coming. I would ask who's a client, who's a coach. Sometimes when all those coaches raise their hand and they bring their potentials, people start to think, wow, look at all these coaches. Like, they want to be in the club. Like, apparently that's the cool thing to do here, right? So it plants seeds all the time. So I want to know who I'm talking to. I want everybody to feel welcomed. I share my story, and then I ask, who's got a story? Like, we'd love to hear it. And once a couple people have the bravery, everybody gets up. Or if you're short on time, plant a few people that know in advance, and they will share their stories. And there's plenty of time later to share even more stories, but don't let your guest speaker speak first, because then they jet out and they don't hear your stories. So you make them sit there through the stories, and then they get to share later, right? So after some of the stories are shared, you might talk about how many pounds have been lost in the room or whatever. Make sure you hit on other topics besides the scale. We're not just weight coaches, okay? We're so much more than that. So talk about the books, talk about the 4 components. Would you drive a car with 1 wheel? Let them know how valuable, how different this is than anything else. And then introduce your guest, edify them, let them share for about 20 minutes. and then open it up for questions to them, questions about the program. And then usually I can get a good solid 2 hours in, no problem. The time goes really fast. But I find that 3 hours is really a sweet spot to do everything and nobody feels rushed. And that's usually how it works for me. But I'm just kind of curious. I mean, does anybody have any questions about anything I've said? I mean, all of this is a tax write-off too. So keep track of all your spending. Anybody have any? I haven't been watching the chat at all. So any, I would love any questions.
Don't be shy, guys. You can put it in the chat. You can just raise your hand and we'll have you share.
Good question. So somebody's asking what day of the week. You know, I've played a lot with that. I think Fridays were what I did the most, but then the lean and green meals weren't that great. I would get a lot of veggie trays because people would go to the grocery store and just get any old thing because they didn't have time to cook. Saturdays, surprisingly, are really good. I think brunch is nice, but I really like Saturday nights. A lot of men come at night. It's like date night. And Sunday afternoons have been fabulous. But you want to get them out by 7 because, you know, they have to work tomorrow. So I've played with all different times and it'll work. I don't think you should plan these too far in advance either, because if you do, people forget about it unless you're really promoting it. Some of my best parties were planned 3 weeks, 2 weeks in advance. I haven't done them on weeknights. I just feel like maybe it's my own concept. Maybe women are dying to get out and leave their husbands with the kids to do the homework. I don't know. I find doing them every 6 to 8 weeks is great, but if you do them too often, there's nothing to look forward to. They become ho-hum. You want them to miss them a little bit, but you want to do them consistent enough that they will become regulars. And you know what's cool is when you see them 8 weeks apart and they're not even or they could be your client or someone else's client, and they're so much thinner, like they're down 20 pounds. That is so much fun for me as the hostess to just, holy cow, I almost didn't recognize you. That is the neatest thing ever. Let's see, what type of business is good for tips on dressing for the body type? You know, there was 2 new store owners in my town. One had a little boutique and one was a consignment shop, and they had nice things. And I talked to both of I welcomed them to the neighborhood in town. And I asked if they'd be willing to bring some of their pieces and talk to us about what looks right on what type of body. And then I explained about my clientele. I'm like, a lot of these people haven't worn stylish clothes or been shopping in many, many years. I think you could give them top tips on maybe a wrap dress or leggings with tunic. And a lot of men think that pleated pants are the thing. Forgive me, maybe they are again. I don't know, but that adds weight. So horizontal stripes make everything look wider. I mean, a lot of people know this, but a lot of people don't, so they both came and they were tag teaming, showing some of their pieces, and a great place to shop in between sizes. And they loved it. And so did our clients. They thought that was great. Let's see. What else am I seeing here? Live on Facebook. How do you follow up with those viewers? Ask people on your Facebook Live to say hi. Like, hey, if you're joining us live, say hi, or are you watching the replay? Because that lets you know who's watching. And you can always go back and say, you should come to our next one. We had so much fun, Image consultants could work. That's a good idea, Dee. So I share it in my support page. Ours is called Change for a Better Life. I share it on my timeline. Other coaches share it on their timeline. We encourage bringing guests. Sometimes we have a prize for that. And obviously, here's a biggie. When you do a Facebook event, you create an event. If you don't know how to do that, I'm sure Dee or somebody there does. But when you create an event, the cover photo is important to grab attention. I usually have a collage of a bunch of people with before and after pictures. as the cover photo, but make sure that you keep up the chatter in that, because everybody gets notification. Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, I have to RSVP. So especially if they RSVP, they're going to get the reminders and the notifications unless they're not going. And then they won't get those notifications anymore. So keep that thing alive. Like maybe introduce your guest in a picture and say, I can't wait to hear their top tips for financial health. I really love spending money. Saving? Not my forte. So let her talk to you about tax tips or whatever, So it's neat to drum up some interest, and they kind of feel like they know the speaker a little bit.
Nancy, two questions I saw in there, I think because they were coming in really fast. One was, what do you do if it's like a really small turnout? Maybe you don't have any other coaches in the room. And that might be when somebody's just starting to do these. So how do you handle that and start and hopefully have them build?
It's like, how would you feel if you were having coffee with a friend? If one person shows, awesome. Like, it's so intimate. You get to know each other. Like, don't think this has to be 100 people. Some of my best parties were intimate and fun. I'll tell you another idea we did. And that was, we Zoomed with Dr. A, because he's my personal mentor, right? And then I thought, what if we did a bunch of satellite health and hope parties from all over the country with the other people on my team? We have somebody in Boston, someone in Michigan. We had people in Florida. What if we all hosted our own health and hope party and we all Zoomed in live with Dr. A, and he could see all these parties going on at once? He gets to hit a bunch at once. And obviously, you have Dan Bell or somebody else in your line. You might not have access to Dr. A like I do, or if it's a special speaker like the Blanchards or something like that, you could have satellite parties all over, and you could it's just fun. It's fun. It's a great way to hear stories from my ripple effect. If you think about it, these are my coaches all over, and I get to meet their clients sharing their stories for all of us and we stream live on a big screen TV. So that was one that was really fun too. You can get really creative with this stuff.
I love that.
Somebody
asked what would be a
oh, okay. I'm sorry.
There's somebody asked I'm sorry, we're like talking over to and I want to do the feeling swap. One question I don't want to get missed was, somebody said, what would be a realistic expectation of cost for hosting something like this?
It depends on how much seating you have. It depends, like once you have your supplies, it's done. When I rented a pavilion, it was $50 in the park. My house was free, but of course I provide water. So I always had coolers full of water, and then just paper plates, napkins, stuff like that. Everybody else does the cooking. So that, I didn't think it was expensive at all. I already had my trifold boards. I already had my fat, 5 pounds of fat. I had my books, I had all my props. So once you invest in it a little bit, or you can pull from other coaches and you guys, do a conglomerate, you can share the fat. You can share the fat blob between you. We did that a lot too. On the trifold boards, always go to Walmart or Target and print out 8 by 10 before and afters of people and just plaster it. Maybe a BMI chart if you wanted. But the more pictures, the better. They're very awakening. I have fat to share.
I do have a fat model. I have fat and muscle, 5 pounds if anybody needs it.
That's good, because you could do a whole topic on the difference of fat burn versus losing a bunch of muscle, right? Anything else? Wow, I did all that in less than a half hour. That's cool.
And then the feeling swap, we were kind of talking over each other. So you want to maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
Fueling swap, yes, but I let that be between people. And I if you guys brought fuelings to swap, go over in this corner and you guys can work it out. I didn't want to be involved in it. I didn't know if they were expired. I don't know if those vitamins were expired. I didn't know if somebody's cat peed on it or if it was stored in a moldy basement. Not my problem, but that's between you guys. You figure that out. I didn't ever want to get involved in selling. Never, never, never selling. I won't allow it on my support page. That's why all the posts have to be pending for approval, because it started to turn into a yard sale. And that's not what this is. It's not fair to the coaches. So I don't encourage that, but swapping, why not? You can do that.
Yeah.
I love questions. Anybody else? Is anybody inspired to do this? Because put a 5 if you're excited to do it, and put a 6 if you're nervous, but you might consider it. I'm curious how jazzed you guys are. Okay, all you 6s, please have fun. It's just hanging out with people that aren't looking for perfect. You know what? You're in the lifeboat. They just want in. They're not looking for perfect. They're not looking for a lifeguard that has all his certifications. If you're soaking wet and you're in the lifeboat, it's good enough. They want to be in there with you. So have fun. Imperfect is the best because everybody identifies with not perfect. And you can laugh anything off, even if the smoke alarm goes off. All right, I see some 6s. Don't tell yourself you're scared. Tell yourself you're excited, and combine forces maybe with another coach. And it's really, really fun.
Yeah, love that idea, Kim. We did that last year. I think it was like we picked a date in February and everybody was doing them across the country, which was super fun. But Nancy, I can't thank you enough. I mean, even just you running through all those topics. I mean, we've talked about doing events before, but never to that detail, and like just so helpful. And you make it look easy. You know what I mean? And it's obvious from your enthusiasm, you have fun with it. And I think that's what radiated to me the most. So thank you.
It's how I grew. Who wouldn't be attracted to fun? Who wouldn't be attracted to friendship and a sense of belonging? Guys, if you make this all buttoned up and a bunch of Google Docs, that doesn't attract people. It doesn't. Nobody wants more work in their life. Nobody gets excited about an Excel spread. Well, if you do, you might need a comedy night out, okay? But fun, friendship, belonging, believe in each other, stories. This whole company is built on stories. So just have fun with it. Do it imperfect. And I want to hear about it if you do it. Please let me know. Would you?
Yeah,
Would you?
Definitely.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Nancy. So appreciate it. Yeah. All right, guys. I know we found great value in this. Good job investing in yourselves and learning tonight. And we'll see you in the Facebook group until we meet again. So thank you, Nancy. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.